So welcome back to another episode. And yes, it's an episode on games that I hate. Games that I hate. Games that I just tried to enjoy, tried to get something out of, and in the end of the day, they disappointed me terribly so. And I want to say, 10 years ago, I did my very first episode on games that I hate, and I did something brand new. I wasn't angry at the games. I wasn't angry. I was disappointed. I had some stories, and today I'm going to share some more stories about games I picked up. And the interesting thing about these games is they are all rental games that I rented at the time, and I had to go and get the physical copies of the game because I didn't like them. I didn't want to own them, but I thought it'd be funny to pick them up. Don't worry, I got them all out of the discount bin. They were very, very cheap. I will ask you guys, is there any games that you hate? And I know I use the word hate, and that's a strong word, but how many times do you say, you know what, I hated that movie, or I hated that game? We all do that so much, and that's why I use the word hate for this episode. Okay, here we go. Here we go with my first game. My first game, released in 2008, Golden Axe, Beast Rider, right here. All right. Back in the 80s, 1989, we got Golden Axe, the original game, and then we got some sequels afterwards. Side view, action, combat, medieval style, great stuff. I loved it. You could pick different characters and all that. They brought it to the Genesis, a great classic of our time. So I was excited. I'm like, they're bringing back Golden Axe? This can only be a great thing. But my spider sense was tingling. It really was, and I'm like, don't go and buy it. I saw some screenshots. I'm like, just go. We'll rent it from Blockbuster. And I rented this game. I brought it home. My expectations weren't high. And here's the interesting thing about this game. It's not a terrible playing game. It plays okay. The graphics are okay. Everything is mediocre. It really is. There's some kind of fun action in there. You get to ride beasts like you do in the original Golden Axe. So it harkens back to the original series. It even has the gnomes back where you can get health and magic from. So that's cool. I'm like, okay, they're honoring the original games. But what goes wrong? What is so terrible about this game?
By my balls, girl!
It doesn't feel like a Golden Axe game. It feels like an action hack and slash style of game. It's kind of fun for the parrying and evade and counterattacks that you can pull off in the game. That's cool. The world is very segmented, which I understand. We did that in the original Golden Axe as well. We had different levels and all that, but it's very painful. You're running from one section to the next, and it just feels like rinse and repeat, which is the original game as well. But this game doesn't pull it off. And I gotta say, the reason why I hate the game, the core reason, is because it killed the Golden Axe franchise. This was a mainline game in the series, if you can even believe that. It really was. And you're like, oh, and Golden Axe has just gone the way into nothingness now, and that's what's the real sadness. And you know what I blame it on? I blame it on the time. I remember me and my friend Andrew were playing these games during this time, and we were talking how developers were having such a hard time taking 2D properties into 3D. And we were doing that with the PS2, with the 360, the Xbox at the time. We were taking franchises that were arcade games and all that and trying to bring them into 3D. Great example of that is the Castlevania series, taking the original games and then going into like Lament of Innocence here. A great game though. I like Lament of Innocence. I don't want to say anything about it, but they were having a hard time translating that gameplay into 3D, and it took quite a few years, and there were some casualties. And Golden Axe Beast Rider is a casualty of that time. As I say, it's not a bad hack and slash game. There's some fun to be had there. It's not bad in that regard, but I hate it because it killed the franchise. Now we go back to 2004 for a game that I was very, very hyped for. I was so hyped for this game because I love Capcom fighting games. And this game was going to do something incredible. It was going to combine a bunch of characters from a bunch of different franchises and create a brand new game called
Capcom
Fighting Evolution.
I said it. Yes, that game. What is so interesting about the game, the idea of it? It takes characters from Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 3, Darkstalkers, and from Red Earth. Does anybody remember Red Earth, the arcade game that came out? It was called Warzard in Japan. I even have the poster right up here on my wall because I was a fan of that arcade game. So I was so excited to play this game. And some initial reviews came out and they weren't stunning. But you know, sometimes I don't listen to reviews, but I didn't buy the game. I went and I rented it once again. I brought it home and I started to play the game, and it was immediate that there was a problem with this game. And the problem is the absolute laziness of the design of this game. It was taking all these characters from all these other games that Capcom created, and this is the problem. It quite literally was just lifting the character sprites from different games and putting them into this game. And sometimes it was just like the frames of animation weren't quite there. But the biggest thing that is so horrible in this game, besides that stuff, the backgrounds are an absolute travesty. And in capturing this game, it had been quite a few years since I played it. I thought, oh, maybe I was remembering it wrong. No, it is this bad. The backgrounds are so blurry and pixelated that you cannot believe that these were made by Capcom. You cannot believe. Well, I was catching the footage and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my god, this game is terrible. And I'm picking different characters and I'm like, it just doesn't come together. It's like they took all these pieces, put them together, and it doesn't work. And I was so absolutely disappointed in Capcom Fighting Evolution here. Oh god. Like, look at the box art, it's pretty cool. We got something going on here. It was just everything else that was in the game was so terrible. Do any of you guys remember this game? Do you remember any of you guys play it? Even the characters from Warzard, Red Earth, couldn't save it for me. And that's saying something. It's kind of weird sometimes. A lot of companies do compilation games where they bring things from different franchises together. Worked really well in Capcom versus SNK. Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, also not so much. And so very hit or miss with these compilation fighting games. Now we go back to 2009. A certain movie was about to be released. We had no idea how big the movie would become, but I was hyped. The script had leaked online. I read it, and I thought, wow, how are they going to film this? Where, you know, obviously they would do a lot of CG, a lot more than I thought that they would. But then again, some of these scenes in this movie, how could they recreate them, without a lot of CG? But I went to see the movie at midnight, and I gotta say, I was blown away by the movie. And I know the movie's not for everybody. Some people hate it, some people love it, and I get all of the arguments. Dances with Wolves, Fern Gully, yes, Avatar, the movie was released and became one of the biggest box office sensations of all time. If you like the movie or not, it was. So I was quite up there with the hype, and I gotta say this, I even bought a 3D TV to watch Avatar at home when it was released in 3D. That's how crazy I was for the movie. I have to say that. So I was very, very excited and thrilled that they were releasing Avatar, the game, right here. On PC, on PS3, I got the 360 version. I was like, whoa. And I saw some of the visuals and I'm like, this looks pretty good. Even James Cameron, I remember getting on stage going, oh, this game is going to change your life type of thing. It's being made in conjunction with the movie. And I'm like, hey, I'm sold. But again, I got a little nervous. I was watching a few more movies on it. I'm like, how about we just rent the game and see where we go? Oh, God. This game, you know what it is? There doesn't need to be a huge, long explanation on it. I will say this. It's a soulless game. It has no soul. It follows the movie completely. Maybe for a lot of you out there, you're like, that's why it has no soul. But it's copying the movie completely. And so you're going through those motions, you're like, okay, that's fine. But when you get to the game, it so doesn't deliver. And let me say, the visuals are there. I can't believe a lot of what they did with the visuals. Yes, oh my god, the game chugs along like terribly so. I even, capturing footage from this, I was getting a headache with some of the shooting I was doing in the game. I'm like, oh my god, you know? And it's interesting, I liked the movie, but I goddamn hated the game. The game is so, again, I gotta say, mediocre. It just chugs along. There's too many fetch quests, and it just feels, I'm just doing the motions rather than getting sucked into the world. And the world building they did was quite something. It really mimicked the movie quite a lot, but it just doesn't come together. And you can play as different sides of the storyline and things like that. That didn't save it. Some of the characters' dialogue was just horrific and terrible. Like Sigourney Weaver, I'm like, what is this?
I guarantee this planet is the most hostile world you've ever seen.
I'm like, she looks like that? That's so strange. She looks like a zombie and all that. I got even capturing footage for the game. I was like, oh god, I hate playing this game. It was like torturing. I was just running around and started shooting my own people because I had to do something to make it kind of fun because I wasn't having fun. And that's what it is. There's no fun to be had in the game. And the gameplay is okay. It's alright, but it's the fetch quests. It's just rinse and repeat doing the same stuff, and even if you're driving around, that's not fun. Getting on a turret, shooting creatures in the forest, that's not fun. It just feels blah, right? Just a game that's just blah. And I feel sorry for Ubisoft because I could see they probably went in to really make an ambitious game for James Cameron. And unfortunately, I think they were trying to do something that they couldn't pull off on the current systems of the time. Now, that being said, there is a new Avatar game coming out in the future, and I have high hopes for it. I really hope with current technology that they can do some justice and all of that. And I'm looking forward to the future Avatar movies because we've kind of got Dances with Wolves out of the way. Let's tell the new stories now. Let's tell brand new stories. We've established everything. Where are we going to go now? And I'm kind of interested to see where they go because I know that the next movie's underwater and then it's going to take place in the galaxy around different planets and then eventually Earth. So I'm kind of hyped on that a little bit, for sure. I can't wait to see it in 3D. I think the 3D really got me and all that, but Avatar the game, I mean, oh, I could just throw it. Thank God I got this for a bargain bin price because it was painful to buy and painful to play. It just, oh my God, get this. I don't even, it actually, I honestly get like shivers of from it because I hate it that much. So that's a perfect way to pass it on to you guys. Guys, is there a game that gives you shivers because you hate it so much? Or just a game that you casually playing like, boy, I really just hate this game. Because I say we hate things, right? We do. Even though we don't hate them to the core, I don't absolutely want to destroy Avatar. Yes, I do. I want to destroy it. I don't want to see it ever again. That's for sure. I wonder if I could just give it away to somebody. Maybe somebody will take it because I don't want it on the shelves. Is there a game like that for you? Let me know in the comments below. So anyways, guys, until next time.